calm down. Let's grab a seat. Dude,
Stop! What'd you do to her? Please!
11 underrated tech horror movies that deserve more viewership. Living in a world that is dependent on technology has its perks. However, although life has become much easier with this, it's also thrown open a wormhole where the horrors of technology come off as side effects. Our fear of such complex technology and the vastness of this unknown world have found their way into the horror genre. In this video, we have assembled some terrifying tech horror flicks that will make you want to switch off your phones and gadgets for good. After all, everything great comes at a cost.
Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
The Den, 2013. Elizabeth has an interesting graduate project in sociology where she chats with strangers on a webcam-based social media site. Her research seeks to calculate how many meaningful conversations she can have. However, things take a horrifying turn when, after chatting with a strange person, her webcam gets hacked. To make things worse, she witnesses a murder, and it seems like the murderer has locked onto her as his next target. This modern horror movie is extremely intense and keeps you on the edge of your seats for its short runtime. It offers a unique take on found footage flicks, and despite moments of unrealism, it packs quite a punch. The majority of this film takes place virtually on cell phone screens and computer screens. The story told from a first-person narrative is beautifully delivered, and the direction is helped by some decent acting performances. Melanie Papalia in the lead role of Elizabeth is particularly impressive. There are some jaw-dropping moments, such as the scene with the psychotic murder and the bizarre stream of events that follow. The climax will haunt you for days, and it would be quite a task to log into social media after watching this. It reminds you one more time that the internet can be a dark place where things can go wrong in the wink of an eye. The Stafford Wives, 1975. Joanna Eberhardt moves to the quiet little town of Stafford from Manhattan, along with her husband Walter and their children. She is an independent woman who likes to have her own opinion about things and is an aspiring photographer. However, in the town of Stafford, all the women seem to be happily engrossed in their domestic chores. They serve the men almost like a servant and seem to be satisfied without any ambitions of their own. Soon, Joanna learns about the deep, dark secret of the town and realizes that her life is threatened. Can she get out with her kids before it's too late? The 1970s were an era when a woman's position in society was hotly debated all over the world. Ira Levin's novel has been followed quite closely in the film adaptation, and the narrative is rooted in the women's movement of the time. However, this movie was misunderstood, and there were many feminist demonstrations against it where they claimed that the film was sexist. This methodically paced thriller has some engaging moments, such as the scene in the grocery store, or the scene with the empty eyes. Catherine Ross is terrific in the lead, and other members of the cast also put in some good performances. It's a must-watch for those who are curious about a tension-filled horror sci-fi flick. Pulse, 2001. A college student named Taguchi commits suicide, and since then, young people in Tokyo are witnessing something strange about the internet. Terrifying visions are being transferred through the internet, and people all over the city are disappearing under mysterious circumstances. Michi, Haruo, and Ryosuke try their best to solve the mystery of these visions as the internet becomes a breeding ground for evil spirits. Are these spirits trying to infiltrate into the human world through the internet? This is one of those mesmerizing supernatural flicks that will leave you spellbound through their dark and brooding atmosphere. In some ways, it's more of a cold, bleak, and nihilistic portrayal of isolation, and at times, things can get a little depressing. This thought-provoking narrative about the decaying human condition is wonderfully presented by the director, Kiyoshi Kurosawa. There are no jump scares or gory moments, but the eerie mood of the film will soon catch up to you. The lighting, the art direction, and the clever use of muted colors to make for a creepy visual effect are elements that stand out in this film. The haunting musical score makes it even more special. It is a bit slow-paced, and for those seeking quick thrills, this might not be the ideal movie. For best results, watch this alone with the lights off. Existence, 1999. In a futuristic world, Allegra Geller is a leading game designer. While she is testing one of her new virtual reality games with a group, a fanatic assassin attacks her. In an attempt to flee, she enters the game, and now she must play her own creation alongside a marketing trainee. As she determines whether the game is damaged, the pair embarks on a strange adventure where the lines between reality and the virtual world blur. David Cronenberg never ceases to amaze us with his unique brand of sci-fi horror. With this movie, he delivers yet another existential crisis-inducing psychotropic trip. It raises some crucial questions that are all the more relevant in today's world. How far can someone go into living their fantasies before reality gets blurred and fantasy takes over? The sheer possibility of spending one's life in a game will keep you away from role-playing games for some time. The acting is top-notch, and the two protagonists, Jennifer Jason Leigh and Jude Law, have performed out of their skin. While this movie packs quite a punch with blood-curdling imagery and an engaging story, it does take some getting used to.
Don't touch that!
Videodrome, 1983. Max Wren is the president of a trashy TV channel and is always keen to find a show that will attract a lot of viewers. He chances upon a TV called Videodrome, where the contestants face severe forms of torture and punishment. Max realizes the potential of the show to become popular and starts broadcasting it on his channel. He gets the shock of his life when his girlfriend auditions for the show and never comes back. Upon further investigation, he finds out that the show and all the graphic violence might not be fake like he thought. If you're familiar with David Cronenberg's work, you might have a faint idea of what you're in for. You wouldn't be disappointed with the surreal experience that this movie has to offer. For instance, the film can drive you to the brink of craziness because soon you won't be able to tell which scene is real and which one is an imagination. The seamless bending of the characters' reality and hallucinations are fascinating to watch. You might even love the open-endedness of the narrative that offers you some food for thought. This would be remembered for being one of the first virtual reality movies, and certainly one of the best ones. However, there are some violent moments and perverse sexual scenes that might not be appropriate for everyone. Maybe it's just nostalgia, but the era when such films were being made was a golden age, according to us. Do you agree?
Wait.
Unfriended Dark Web, 2018. A teenager named Matthias finds a new laptop at a cyber cafe and takes it home. The laptop belonged to Nora, who was working with a sign language app for his deaf girlfriend. However, Matthias discovers some strange videos from the dark web, and a lot of cryptocurrency worth millions is at stake. He gets his friends involved in this mess, and now they must all deal with the unknown forces from the dark web who are after their lives. This movie is somewhat of a sequel to the 2015 version of the original film that was a pretty big commercial success. Once again, the same inventive storyline is used, and much of the events transcend on screen. The initial bits of the film starts off smartly with a well-drafted character sketch that helps us relate better with them. Soon you get to the thrilling bits where you see the crime-riddled dark side of the internet. The dark web has often sparked the interest of people for its sheer mysterious existence. And this movie is a nice lesson on why you should stay miles away from anything related to it. The moment when the online threats become real-life attacks, you're sure to have your heart in your mouth. There are multiple endings for this movie that are completely different from one another. And, interestingly enough, the director got the trailer released in the real dark web first. It gets a lot of unfair criticism, but if you ignore them and watch this one, you won't be disappointed. Searching, 2018. David Kim lost his wife to lymphoma and developed a distant relationship with his daughter Margot. However, when Margot goes missing and the local investigation seem to have no clue about her whereabouts, David looks into her laptop. He hopes to find clues to her disappearance hidden in the laptop, and soon the findings baffle him. He learns of the secretive life that Margot had been maintaining. David and the detective venture down an unnerving internet rabbit hole, trying their best to find young Margot. Searching has impressed us the most when it comes to compelling storytelling. The numerous twists and turns make it impossible for the viewer to predict what's about to come. This movie is an accurate tech horror flick that deals with real websites, technology, and actual examples of how to search the internet for information. There are no silly exaggerations, and it's a great addition to the found footage genre. The direction is pretty flawless, especially for someone who is donning the director's hat for the first time. With such precision, it's hard to believe that the film actually took only 13 days to shoot. While we do feel the climax of the film could have been better, it still makes for a mesmerizing watch for an exciting time. Suicide Club, 2001. In Tokyo, a series of suicides become a headache for the authorities and police. For no explainable reason, groups of young students are killing themselves in the most gruesome ways. As the string of suicides seem unstoppable, the detectives try to find answers to the mystery. They come across a website where red dots denote the number of people that have died. A new all-girl group, Desert, might be related to these mysterious suicides. Suicide Club is a powerful cinematic meditation on suicide that the director crafted after one of his closest friends committed suicide. In fact, suicide is a serious social problem in Japan, and the director, Shion Sono, offers his own thesis for the root of the problem. There are some thought-provoking scenes, such as the one where the cops try to figure out who could kill themselves in the subway. The looks of most of the people suggest that they could be ready to commit suicide, and it shows the state of our mental health in general. The horror in this film comes from within the viewer's mind, and that is what real horror is all about. The climax is fittingly powerful, and you will be left wondering what just happened.
Emma.
Host, 2020. In the times of the COVID-19 pandemic, a group of friends try to stay in touch through a weekly Zoom call. One of them, named Haley, hires a medium to communicate with the spirits. One of the friends falsely claims to have made contact with a friend who committed suicide. However, the joke is soon on them, as an evil spirit seems to have made its way into their house. It causes some horrifying phenomenon that changes the lives of these friends. In quarantine, no matter how loud you scream, there's no one to hear. It is a unique and unsettling story that will go down as one of the most ferocious horror flicks of this year. This indie horror flick has an interesting plot, and once things start going haywire, it's impossible to predict the outcome. It might seem like one of the typical home invasion movies, but the execution is fresh and impressive. With the budgetary constraints, this film was shot in incredible limitations, but it managed to surpass expectations. It explores some complex themes, interesting allegories, and some shocking moments to leave you terrified. The dark theme is a constant throughout the movie, and violence gets a bit too extreme at times. The horrifying experience of this movie is not for everyone to handle, and right from the creepy opening, it becomes clear that you are in for a disturbing journey. The Lawn Mower Man, 1992. An intellectually disabled gardener is experimented upon by a scientist. With intelligence-enhancing drugs and a trip through virtual reality, the gardener quickly becomes brilliant and develops supernatural abilities like telekinetic powers. Trouble starts brewing when the gardener starts to have his own ideas on how the experiment should continue. The scientist now has no clue on how to control the subject of his experiment. It seems like the improvement in intelligence comes with a few serious side effects. The Lawn Mower Man is from an era when movies were crazy, fun rides instead of psychologically damaging dark adventures. The plot is fairly simple, and the film has an impressive cast with the likes of Pierce Brosnan and Jeff Fahey in key roles. It has the quirkiness of Stephen King stories and the effective graphics to make for an overall engaging movie. However, his story was only a few pages long and had little resemblance to the movie, except the basic premise. The Lawn Mower Man will fuel your imaginations and is worth watching if you want to explore the tech horror genre.
You stole my face and now I'm going to get it back.
You stole my face and now I'm going to get it back.
Cam, 2018. Alice works as a cam girl on a website and offers sexually promiscuous live shows from a self-made studio. She keeps her profession a secret from her mother, but her peace is soon shattered. It all starts when she realizes that another girl, who is an exact replica of herself, has replaced her on the show. Alice tries her best to learn the real identity of the imposter, and when people around her start to learn about her profession, things get really messy. This movie is tech horror mixed with a bit of psychological horror and is a creepy take on the virtual world. The premise where a cam girl gets her identity stolen set things off in quick time. Interestingly though, the plot doesn't just throw light on the dark side of the internet, but also dark side of human nature. The simplistic script is rather effective, and it seems like the cast did a pretty great job as well. Madeline Brewer deserves all the praise for her remarkable portrayal of the troubled Alice. However, on the downside, there were some loose ends in the movie that weren't adequately addressed. The climax could have been much better than how it turned out to be. All in all, we would strongly recommend this film, especially for the tech-savvy folks.
And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.